truly know woman by studying all there is to know about woman. It has been said, men will never know women, nor fully understand them, the way they think, act, and so forth. Can we destroy that myth? This particular book we're reviewing was found in the public domain, public access. No copyright infringement was intentional. We bring it to all strictly for educational purposes alone. Warning, it is quite erotic picture wise. This book is called the Ananga Ranga, State of the Bodiless One, the Hindu Art of Love, by Kalayana Malla, translated and annotated by F. R. Boothknott and Richard F. Burton, and Pharmacopoeia Ars Amoris Indica by H. S. Gabers and S. Rama. Contents page. Contents continued. Preface. The pages within contain the Hindu art of love. The author informs us that the treatises were composed by the arch poet Kalyana Malla himself. Not much is known of him. We tried to find information on him. We weren't so successful. We'll keep trying. The authors rendered the Kama Shastra from Sanskrit into English, dressed it up in Latin that it might not fall into the hands of the lewd or vulgar. And the author goes into great detail about the religion, the Hindu religion behind it, and its origins and its translation into the Sanskrit and so forth, and then Arabic, etc. As we stated earlier, it says here, it was at first the author's intention, after rendering the Kama Shastra from Sanskrit into English, to dress it up in Latin that it might not fall into the hands of the vulgar, but further consideration satisfied the authors that it contains nothing essentially immoral, and much matter deserving of more consideration than it receives at present, at that particular time. The generation which prints and reads literal English translations of the debauched Petronius Arbiter and the witty indecency of Rabelais can hardly be prudish enough to complain of the devout and highly moral Kalyana Malla, at least so think the translators. And they go into Indian sculptures and so forth. And the religion. And then an introduction which is basically more on the Indian or Hindu religion and the statues and etc. Ananga Ranga, or the Hindu Art of Love, Chapter 1, Section 1, of the Four Orders of Woman. We feel that this is very important, as we stated earlier in this video, to truly know woman. Study all there is to know about women, and then perhaps you will fully know them and understand them, destroying that myth that man or men cannot fully understand them. Of the four orders of woman. First, let it be understood that woman must be divided into four classes of temperament. These are Padmini, 2 Chitrini, 3 Shankhini, and 4 Hastini. The same corresponds with the four different phases of moksha, or release from further transmigration. The first is Sayujyata, or absorption into the essence of the deity. So it goes on about the gods, the Hindu pagan gods, so forth. Learn the orders of the four womankind. The Padmini or lotus woman, her face is pleasing, etc. So here it speaks about it. Personal peculiarities of the four classes. And now learn ye by these words to distinguish from one another the four orders of womankind. She in whom the following signs and symptoms appear is called Padmini or lotus woman. Footnote indicated there. So down here it says, evidently the nervous temperament with due admixture of the bilious and sanguine. And her face is pleasing as a full moon, her body well clothed with flesh as soft as the shiras or mustard flower. It goes on comparing this particular woman to the Hindu religion in their symbolic flowers. Yeah, so basically it says, her face is pleasing as a full moon, her body well clothed with flesh, as soft as the shiras, which is a lofty tree with soft and fragrant pollen, or mustard flower. Her skin is fine, tender and fair as the yellow lotus, never dark coloured, though resembling in the effervescence and purple light of her youth the cloud about to burst. Her eyes are bright and beautiful as the orbs of the fawn, while well cut and with reddish corners. Her bosom is hard, full and high. Her neck is goodly shaped as the conch shell, so delicate that the saliva can be seen through it. Her nose is straight and lovely, and three folds or wrinkles cross her middle about the umbilical region. Her yoni, footnote indicated there, the yoni is the feminine opposed to the linga, preapus or male apparatus. So it's the opposite to the male genitalia. You know what that is. Her yoni resembles the opening lotus bud, and her love seed, kama salila, the water of life. See note chapter 4 on the Hindu ideas of human sperm, etc. etc. It's perfumed like the lily which has newly burst. She walks with swan-like gait, and her voice is low and musical as the note of the kokila bird, usually known as the Indian cuckoo. Though its voice is harsh and disagreeable, in poetry and romance it takes the place of the bulbul of Persia and the nightingale of Europe. She delights in white raiment and fine jewels and riches. She eats little, sleeps lightly, and being as respectable and religious as she is clever and courteous, she is ever anxious to worship the gods and to enjoy the conversation of Brahmins, these Hindu priests, etc., these wise men. Such then is the Padmini or lotus woman. The Chitrini or art woman, the sanguine temperament, is of middle size, neither short nor tall, with bee black hair, thin round shell-like neck, tender body, waist lean, girth as a lion's, hard full breasts, well turned thighs and heavily made hips. The hair is thin about the yoni, the mons, veneris, being soft, raised and round. The kama salila, love seed, is hot and has perfume of honey, producing from the abundance of sound during the venereal rite. Her eyes roll and her walk is coquettish like the swing of an elephant, whilst her voice is that of the peacock. Footnote indicator. Meaning excellent as that of the peacock, which is not disliked by the Hindus as by Europeans. They associate it with the breaking of rainy monsoon, which brings joy to the thirsty earth and sun-parched men. She is fond of pleasure and variety. She delights in singing and every kind of accomplishment, especially the arts menial. Her carnal desires are not strong, and she loves her pets, parrots, maenads, and other birds, such as the Chitrini or art woman. The Shankini, footnote indicated. 2. The bilious temperament, or conch woman, is of bilious temperament, her skin being always hot and tawny or dark yellow brown. Her body is large, her waist thick, her breasts small, her head, hands and feet are thin and long, and she looks out the corner of her eyes. Her yoni is ever moist, etc., etc. Her voice is hoarse and harsh, of the bass or contralto type. Her gait is precipitate. She eats with moderation, and she delights in clothes, flowers and ornaments of red colour. She is subject to fits of amorous passion, which makes her head hot and her brain confused. At the moment of enjoyment, she thrusts her nails into her husband's flesh. Footnote indicated. So Apollonius of Rhodes, describing the passions of Medeia, says, the fire which devours her attacks all her nerves and makes itself felt even behind the head in that spot where pain is most poignant, when an extreme fervour seizes on all the senses. She is of choleric constitution, hard-hearted, insolent and vicious, irascible, rude and ever addicted to finding fault. Such is the Shankini or conch woman. The Hastini is short of stature. She has a stout, coarse body, and her skin, if fair, is of dead white. Her hair is tawny, her lips are large, her voice is harsh, choked and throaty, voix de gorge, and her neck is bent. Her gait is slow, and she walks in a slouching manner. Often the toes of one foot are crooked. Her Kama Salila has the savour of the juice which flows in spring for the elephant's temples. It's a religious thing, right? And so forth. The longer the better. It will never suffice her prolonged conquest. She is gluttonous, shameless, and irascible. Such is the Hastini or elephant woman. And we've made a note because we read, they are Fijian Indians. They seem to have this Kama Sutra book lying around, and we were reading it, and it actually stated about the elephant woman. We were quite surprised of this Hashini woman. This woman's yoni is pungent. Okay, it gives off a certain smell. And even if she is extremely hygienic, very, very clean down there, this woman, you should never insult her, telling her she stinks down there. Look, if it puts you off, suggest something different. Like, let's go for ice cream in the nearest town, rather than hurt her feelings. There's no need to do that. Okay? I mean, you don't want to continue with her in that way, so why be nasty? Just say something, you know. Oh, you might hear what we call here this ice cream truck, Mr. Whippy. Ding, 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 it's coming down the road. Okay? So, oh, let's go buy some Mr. Whippy instead. It's a nice way of putting it off. That is why she is said in the Kama Sutra, she is the elephant woman. Such is the Hastini or elephant woman. Section 3. The days of greatest enjoyment for the four classes. Having thus laid down the four classes of womankind, Kalyana Malla, the arch-poet, proceeds to give a tablet. Okay, here's a note down here of the elephant woman. Elephant woman, because the animal being called the handed one, from the use of the trunk, and Hastini corresponds with Karami, from Kara, a hand. She is Mulia nigris dignissima baris, and of the lymphatic or lowest temperature or temperament. These divisions represent, we have noted, or the author has noted, roughly and unscientifically, the four European temperaments: nervous, sanguine, bilious, and lymphatic. In a future chapter, the three Hindu temperaments will be discussed, or are discussed. Okay, and this author is saying these periods must be learnt by heart, and students will remember then either the days not specified, no amount of congress will satisfy passions. Read then and master the elements. Okay, and the hours that give them the highest enjoyment. Women, be it observed, differ greatly in the seasons which they prefer for enjoyment, according to their classes and temperaments. The Pademi, for instance, takes no satisfaction in night congress. Indeed, she is thoroughly adverse to it. Like the Trailyokyachandra, day lotus, which opens its eyes to the sunlight, it's a certain Indian flower, right? So she is satisfied even by a boy husband in the bright hours. The Chintrini and the Shankhini are like the Chandra Kamala or night lotus that expands to the rays of the moon, and the Hastini, who is the coarsest, ignores all these delicate distinctions. Here's table 1 and table 2. Here's some more on those tables. Chapter 2 of the various seats of passion in woman. Passion resides in the woman's right side during the Shukla Shah, the first or light fortnight. There's the Hindu claims. Okay, and suggested what you should do with her when you're making love, apparently. According to the ancient translations. And some more information here. And another table showing the manipulation of the Padini. Showing the manipulation of the Chitsarini. Showing the manipulation of the Shankini. And manipulation of the Hastini. Here ends the tables of the Chandrakala, by the proper study of which men may satisfy women and thereby subject the most strong-minded to their will, to the man's will, right? Okay, there's a footnote here, indicated here somewhere. And at the bottom it states, here ends the tables of the Chikaralanda, by the proper study of which men may satisfy women and thereby subject the most strong-minded to their will, alluding to what Shakespeare calls kissing with the inner lip. Okay, it's chapter 3 on the different kinds of men and women. And section 2 on woman. Okay, and it goes into the different yoni sizes and all this sort of stuff. Okay, we're going to go past that. You can read it in your own time at your own pace. We're not going to read it out because it's very erotic. Okay, there's some more. There's some more tables and Hindu religion claims. Okay, let's get back here. Chapter 4, description of the general qualities, characteristics, temperaments, etc. of woman. The following table will show the peculiarities of woman according to the 4 periods of life during which she is open to love. It may be premised that she is called Kanya from birth to the age of 8 years, which is a time of Balyavastha or childhood, and Gauri after the white goddess Parvati. From that period to 11th year Tarunyavastha, which becomes marriageable. It's their ancient Hindu belief, their religious practice. Then follow Yavavatsa, young womanhood, and Vrudhavastha, old womanhood. Here's table 9, showing qualities attached to the several ages. Okay, we don't approve of this. Okay, at that age, because you can do damage if you're indulging in them actively. You can damage to their hips. They're not quite formed properly, that sort of stuff, so we don't recommend that. But this is part of their religion. Okay, that's what they've done centuries ago, maybe up to today, modern times. Further observe that there are 3 temperaments of woman as shown by the following characteristics. The sign of Kapha, lymphatic or phlegmatic diathesis, bright eyes, teeth and nails, the body is well preserved and the limbs do not lose their youthful form. The yoni is cool and hard, fleshy yet delicate, and there is love and regard for the husband. Such is the lymphatic or the highest temperament. 1. In old European physiology it ranked lowest. The next is the pitta or bilious diathesis, the woman whose bosom and nates are flaccid and pendant, not orbiculate, whose skin is whitewashed, whose eyes and nails are red, whose perspiration is sour, and whose yoni is hot waxed, who is well versed in the arts of congress, but who cannot endure it for a long time, and whose temper is alternately and suddenly angry and joyous. Such a one is held to be of the pitta or bilious temperament. She whose body is dark, hard and coarse, whose eyes and fingernails are blackish, and whose yoni, instead of being smooth, is rough as the tongue of a cow. She whose laugh is harsh, whose mind is set on gluttony, she loves to eat and overeat, who is volatile and loquacious, whilst in congress she can hardly be satisfied. That woman is of the vata or windy temperament, the worst of all. Furthermore, women require to be considered in connection with the previous state of their existence, the sattva or disposition inherited from a former life, and which influences their worldly natures. The devasattva stri, who belongs to the gods, and it goes on about the Hindu religion. She's cheerful and lively, pure-bodied and clean, with perspiration perfumed like the lotus flower. She is clever, wealthy, and industrious, or sweet speech and benevolent, always delighting in good works, her mind is sound as her body, nor is she ever tired of or displeased by her friends. The Gandhavasavastri, who derives a name from the Gandhavas, or heavenly minstrels, is beautiful of shape, patient in mind, delighting in purity, wholly given to perfumes, fragrant substances, and flowers, to singing and playing, to rich dress and fair ornaments, to sport and amorous play, especially to the vilasa, one of the classes of feminine actions which indicate the passion of love. The Yakshavastri, who derives the name from the demigod presiding over the gardens and treasures of Kuvera, which is one, the Semitic races domesticated the ass or the donkey, half mule, half horse, and recognized its admirable qualities. They treated it with due respect, and they were not ashamed of being compared with it. For example, Issachar is a strong ass. Probably coming from the Bible. The early Egyptian kings, BC 4000 to 1000, had no horses in their invading hosts, and the law of Moses seems to condemn the use. The Ikas Kabalas was conquered and utilized by the Caucasians in Central Asia, and they overwhelmed its rival with abuse and contempt, attributing its creation to Vishvakarma, who caricatured the work of the gods. I guess that's Indian religion related. Okay, and this continues with certain characteristics. This person has the characteristics of that donkey, yeah, or that mule. Is unclean in her person and avoids bathing. See, she doesn't like to wash. Okay. And pure raiment. She cannot give a direct answer, and she speaks awkwardly and without reason because her mind is crooked. Therefore she pleases no one. The subject of the sattvas is one requiring careful study, for the characteristics are ever varying, and only experience can determine the class to which woman belonged in the former life, and which has coloured their bodies and minds in this state of existence. The woman whose breast is hard and fleshy, who appears short from the fullness of her frame, and looks bright and light-coloured, such a one is known to enjoy daily congress with her husband. The woman who, being thin, appears very tall and somewhat dark, whose limbs and body are energetic and languid, the effect of involuntary chastity, such as one is Virahini, who suffers from long separation from her husband and from the want of conjugal embraces. A woman who eats twice as much as a man is 4 times more reckless and wicked, 6 times more resolute and obstinate, and 8 times more violent in carnal desire. She can hardly control the lust of congress, despite the shame which is natural to the sex. The following are the signs by which the wise know that woman is amorous. There's a footnote indicator up here somewhere. Okay, it's continued from the other page. We'll go back momentarily. Okay, Issachar is a strong ass. The early Egyptian kings. Okay, we already read that. Okay. She rubs and repeatedly smooths her hair so that it may look well. She scratches her head, that notice may be drawn to it. She strokes her own cheeks so as to entice her husband. She draws her dress over her bosom, apparently to readjust it. but leaves her breast partly exposed. She bites her lower lip, chewing it, as it were. At times she looks ashamed without a cause, the result of her own warm fancies, and she sits quietly in a corner engrossed by concupiscence. She embraces her female friends, laughing out loud or loudly, and speaking sweet words with jokes and jests to which she desires a return in kind. She kisses and hugs young children, especially boys. She's very affectionate. She smiles with one cheek, loiters in her gait, and unnecessarily stretches herself under some pretense or other. At times she looks at her shoulders and under her arms. She stammers and does not speak clearly and distinctly. She sighs and sobs without reason, and she yawns whenever she wants tobacco, food, or sleep. She even throws herself in her husband's way and will not readily get out of his path. The following are the 8 signs of indifference to be noted in womankind. When worldly passion begins to subside, the wife does not look straight between her husband's eyes. If anything be asked of her, she shows unwillingness to reply. If the man draw near her and looks happy, she feels pained. If he departs from her, she shows symptoms of satisfaction. When seated upon the bedstead, she avoids amatory blandishments and lies down quietly to sleep. When kissed or toyed with, she jerks away her face or her form. She cherishes malicious feelings towards her husband's friends, and finally she has no respect nor reverence for his family. When these signs are seen, let it be known that the wife is already weaned from conjugal desires. The following are the principal causes which drive women to deviate from the right way and to fall into the society of profligates. 1. Remaining when grown up in her mahe or mother's house, as opposed to that of her husband's parents. 2. Evil communication with the depraved of her own sex. 3. The prolonged absence of her husband. 4. Living in the society of vile and licentious men. 5. Poverty and the want of good food and dress. 6. Mental trouble, affliction and unhappiness, causing her to become discontented and reckless. The following are the 15 principal causes which make women unhappy. 1. The parsimony of parents and husbands, because the youth are naturally generous. 2. Receiving too much respect or reverence when they are light-hearted, also being kept in awe by those with whom they would be familiar, and too strict restraint as regards orderly and guarded deportments. 3. Trouble of disease and sickness. 4. Separation from the husband and the want of natural enjoyment. 5. Being made to work too hard. 6. Violence, inhumanity and cruelty, such as beating. 7. Rough language and abuse. 8. Suspicion that they are inclined to evil. 9. Intimidation and threats of punishment for going astray. 10. Calumny, accusing of ill deeds and using evil words about them. 11. Want of cleanliness and personal dress. 12. Poverty. 13. Grief and sorrow. 14. Impotence of the husband. 15. Disregard of time and place in the act of love. The following are the 12 periods when women have the greatest desire for congress, and at the same time are most easily satisfied. When tired by walking and exhausted with bodily exercise, after a long want of intercourse with the husband, such as in the case of the Virahini. 3. When a month after childbirth has elapsed, during the earliest stages of pregnancy. 5. When dull, idle and sleepy. 6. If recently cured of fever. 7. When showing signs of wantonness or bashfulness. 8. When feeling unusually merry and happy. 9. The Rita Snata, immediately before and after the monthly ailment. And that is the woman who on the 4th day has bathed and become pure. That's probably to do with their Hindu religion. 10. Maidens enjoyed for the first time. 11. Throughout the spring season. 12. During thunder, lightning and rain. At such times women are easily subjected to men. And furthermore, learn that there are 4 kinds of the priti or love tie connecting men and women. 1. Nai sa giki priti is the natural affection by which husband and wife cleave to each other like the links of an iron chain. It is a friendship amongst the good of both sexes. 2. Vishaya priti is the fondness born in the woman and increased by means of gifts such as sweetmeats and delicacies, flowers, perfumery and preparation of sandalwood, musk, saffron and so forth. Keep in mind this is talking about the Indian woman, Hindu woman, right? So being surrounded by that sort of incense, etc., etc., then yes, she'll probably be partial to that. It partakes therefore of gluttony, sensuality and luxury. 3. Sama priti is also so far sensual as it arises from the equally urgent desires of both husband and wife. 4. Abhyasiki priti is the habitual love bred by mutual society. It is shown by walking in fields, gardens and similar places, and it goes on and on about more of them. Chapter 5. Characteristics of the various woman of various lands. Characteristics of the woman of various lands. Furthermore, after dividing women into many different classes, it will be desirable to consider them with reference. To the countries in which they dwell. The remarks will be confined to the Aryavata, the land of men, bounded by the Himalaya, Snowhouse, and Vindhya mountains, the Kurukshetra and Allahabad, and first of the women of the Madhya Desha, the country between the Konkan and the Desha proper, whose chief cities are Pune, Nasik, and Kolhapur. The woman of the middle region has red nails, but her body is still redder. She dresses well and in various sorts of apparel. It goes through all the different types of women and how you can recognise them. Again, keep in mind this is probably not so, as we said, this is foreign ladies, right? Yeah, probably in comparison with Hindu women. Okay, this is about medicine and cures and stuff. We're going to leave that alone. Different recipes, remedies, and so forth. It continues like that throughout the rest of the book, we believe, when we pre-read it. Making fragrances, etc., etc. Okay, then it goes on to potions and aphrodisiacs, etc. I'm not going to go into that. Okay, and different mantras that a certain woman should be saying. This is Hindu woman again. Or you say this mantra to them and all this sort of stuff. And it goes into detail of men and women and so forth. So we suggest, as we said earlier, to truly know woman, you should study this book, one of many, and therefore you will know all there is to know about women. And you won't ever believe again that men will never know women nor understand them fully, the way they think, act, etc. And in that way you will destroy that said myth. But you first have to read books like this, try to fully understand it. Maybe you can find a Indian person that knows all this stuff and they'll be able to explain it better, because there's a lot of Hindu wording, stuff like that. Could be baffling, could be confusing, and they'll explain it to you. We can leave the link to this particular book under this video. Click on it and go read it in your own time at your own pace. It's actually very, very interesting.